$99,800 estimated on the $99,800. The Chery Tiggo Cross 1.5 Turbo. The price is, there you go, $98,800. Now, on top of that, the value, the package that you get.
Finally, my first Chery that has been touted by Chery Malaysia back in 2023 has finally been launched in Malaysia. Instead of this time, it's called the Chery Tiggo Cross Pro instead of the Tiggo 4, which was initially touted. What's even better is not only have two variants that are extremely well priced. Chery promised this car to be under 100,000, and it really is under 100,000, starting with the Tiggo, the hybrid, which is 99,800 ringgit, and of course the turbocharged version for those who are not a fan of hybrids for 88,000 ringgit. So what's even more interesting that this is the cheapest hybrid in Malaysia at 99,800 ringgit. Whereas if you compare apple for apple with SUVs, the next cheapest hybrid SUV, the Nissan Kicks, is almost 15,000 ringgit more at 113,000 ringgit, 113,800 ringgit. Coming together with it is a 7-year warranty on the powertrain, a general warranty, and on the hybrid, you get an 8-year or 160,000 kilometers on the battery pack, whichever comes first. And for the first 2,000 buyers, you get nothing more than 2 years of all-inclusive free service. How's that for a deal? This is Chery's smallest car yet in Malaysia, but that doesn't mean it's exactly very small, you know. It's only slightly smaller than the Omoda 5 and almost close in size to a Proton X50. However, for this car, it actually goes directly ahead with the all-conquering Proton Ativa as well as the Honda WRV. As you can see, the size is almost similar in dimensions itself. So of course, in the front here, you have a Tiggo Pro inspired grille itself. This reminds you of maybe the Tiggo 7 and Tiggo 8 Pro, right? But this is a much more concentrated version. And to make things even better, this is the facelifted version of the Tiggo Pro itself, which means we don't get the earlier Tiggo 4 Pro that was reviewed back in 2022 during Chery's visit to Malaysia. And that makes it even a more tempting proposition for those who are in the market for a relatively inexpensive SUV with everything you want and you need. As for earlier I've said, why this car is slightly smaller than the Omoda 5. Most people might be thinking, sure Mo, well, one look at it and it's actually shorter than the Omoda 5. Almost close in size to the X50, except that you have shorter overhangs here, but this shorter overhangs here doesn't translate into small boot space, as we'll find out later. At the rear here, this car takes on a more tiger-like stance, especially with this whole strip, light bulb strip, which with the design that reminds you exactly like a tiger's cross itself. And of course, to differentiate the hybrid and the turbo itself, this regular cross turbo will have a cross here, and for the hybrid, you will get a hybrid badge right here itself. Another thing that differentiates the cheaper turbo from the hybrid will be these larger, more stylish alloy wheels ranging at 18 inches. Curiously, the hybrid gets a bunch of 17-inch aerodynamic rims. Of course, it's smaller for a reason. It's all about fuel consumption. Inside, the overall quality of the Tiggo Pro is actually very good as well. You know, you have soft touch plastics as well as leather wrapped dashboard all around the dashboard here itself. Of course, yes, there are certain things like the lower you get, the harder the plastic can be. But then again, bear in mind that this is a car that is priced under 100,000 ringgit. So for a car that's under 100,000 ringgit to have all these nice nifty little touches, you know, with all this, you know, this more luxury car-like designs. Oh yeah, and this thing will remind you of a certain car brand where each of its cars are no less than 300,000 to 400,000 ringgit. Whether it's a copycat or not, I leave it up to you guys. But you can't fault the build quality for this price itself. Everything you see here is all standard. Standard features include leather seats, an electric driver's seat. You get dual zone climate control no matter which variant you pick, as well as all these things like an electric parking brake, a full digital display, as well as a 10-inch touchscreen that has got all the basics you need, a full 3D system, and of course, most importantly, ready for Android, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This is something that some brands might want to look up to, you know. Inside is not that any much smaller than you'd expect, as this car, despite its small size, it has copious amounts of legroom, and my height and myself being almost 6 feet tall, I still have plenty of headroom, even despite sitting upright, you know. So Imagine for those who are much taller, they have nothing short of space. Of course, one thing though, tire support can be a bit lacking. But then again, this is a small sub B segment SUV or A plus SUV. So definitely, it's not such a bad thing. It might not appeal to some buyers, but for the most of the public, there'll be nothing more than satisfied. Now, all variants of the Tiggo gets a 1.5 litre engine itself, but the difference is in terms of the way that the power is delivered. Powering in this one, the turbocharged one, it gets 147 PS and 210 Nm of torque, mated to a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. Opt for the hybrid, however, and you get a regular naturally aspirated 1.5 litre petrol engine that makes 102 PS and 125 Nm of torque. However, more power and efficiency, all thanks to the battery pack itself, which supplies 204 horsepower, PS and 310 Nm of torque. And this is mated to a direct hybrid transmission. For your information, if most of you be thinking, what is a direct hybrid transmission? This is something similar to a continuously variable transmission that you find in a lot of hybrid vehicles these days as well. Inside, the hybrid variant differs slightly, but you'll notice it upon getting into the car itself. Chief upon it is the lack of an electronic parking brake itself, replaced by its little cubby hole right in the center here itself, if you notice right here. And of course, not to mention, a different steering wheel that is straight from the regular Omoda and larger Tiggo siblings, with gloss black finishes and gloss black buttons all around itself. Other than that, another thing to notice is that at the driver's seat, you'll notice there's an airbag in the center here. The hybrid itself comes with an extra sensor airbag itself, as opposed to the regular turbocharged Tiggo variant itself. In terms of adaptive driver aids, both cars are equally well equipped, with the turbo getting the minimum with all the basic minimums of the adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist itself. But opt for the hybrid, and there's even more. You get rear cross traffic alert with the rear emergency braking, lane centric assist, traffic jam assist, and so on and so forth as well. Another thing to point about the Tiggo variants is that despite the hybrid battery, the boot space is equally almost as similar, with the turbo petrol getting 380 litres of boot space, and as for the hybrid, due to the battery pack itself, it's reduced to 350 litres itself. Their figures are impressive, and there's also for a reason. Unlike the turbo variant, which comes with a space saver at the back, the hybrid variant only gets a tire repair kit at the back itself only. Thus, which explains why the boot space is almost similar despite the battery pack. So there it is, the brand new Chery Tiggo Cross Pro. Would you pick one of these over over its competitors like the Artiva, the WRV, or even the X50, the Omoda 5, as well as the Honda HR-V, or even the Kicks? Let us know in the comments below. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and take care. Bye. Right.